Elden Ring will be many people's first From Software game. That's more important than it being their first game with Souls-like combat, because I'm sure lots of players have experienced games with lock and pivot combat systems, like Jedi Fallen Order or Code Vein. While that prior knowledge might be nice to have, I don't think anything can truly prepare someone for experiencing their first From Software title, and much of that is because of the effect of memes, online culture, and repeated bullet points they may have heard swirling around on the internet. This video's purpose is to liberate you from those ideas so you can enjoy this game and have the most fun you can. From Software games are difficult. On some level you either know this or you think you know this, whether you've played one or not, but it's very easy for an outside observer to be misled or be given the wrong idea about them if they've never picked one up themselves, because there's something almost incommunicable about the way these games feel in your hands once you actually start playing them yourself. So while it's true that Elden Ring is hard, the bulk of that difficulty actually exists inside the player's mindset and not on how skillfully they play. What I mean is that a lot of that difficulty is self-imposed, and a lot of that imposition comes from the memes you might see on the internet. Because Elden Ring is going to be many players' first game, they may go in with a mindset that's not conducive to layered learning, not conducive to enjoying themselves. They've seen what their friends or people say about the game online, and there may be a small part of them whispering that they should prove themselves, that they should engage their enemies with some kind of honor, melee weapon only, that if they don't inflict on themselves the grueling process of learning how to dodge or parry every attack in close range with a sword, that they're not getting the correct experience, that they shouldn't play unfairly, that they need to play the game the right way. And this is the poison. Because the truth is, there is no right way to play Elden Ring. The right way to play is in a way that you enjoy it. From Software games are built very deliberately. Everything that exists in them has been approved by the development team, which means its existence needs no justification from you, the player. So if Elden Ring isn't about being a combat god, what is it about? Elden Ring is about learning about the lands between. It's about learning how all your menus and buttons work until you feel comfortable using them, and finally using every tool and option the world provides for you to have an engaging experience. For different players, this may mean different things, but the crucial thing I want you to take away from this video, if you take anything at all, is that you shouldn't let someone's ideal way to play define yours. Because every human is different, we like different things, and what brings us joy is also going to differ. Elden Ring is a role-playing game, but it's different from other role-playing games you might have played. It's about role-playing the kind of character you want to be, using the gameplay associated with that kind of character. So the great sword wielder who fights with no armor and dodges every hit isn't playing the game the wrong way, but by that measure, neither is the mage who summons two friends or a bunch of spirits and sits in the backline pelting a boss with magic. Both are equally valid, because both are options From Software explicitly encourage, and both are ways to evoke the feel of a character archetype through gameplay. To rephrase everything I just said, Elden Ring is about finding ways to succeed by mechanically role-playing whichever kind of character you enjoy being. This is why everyone's ideal play experience can be different. For players who fancy themselves warriors, they may deeply value the burn of defeat, the endless attempt at a difficult enemy, getting slammed into the dirt again and again as they learn everything they need in order to square off against a foe as a blade master would, and still achieve victory despite discarding easy advantages. This kind of player isn't wrong. For players who fancy themselves mages, perhaps a great part of their pleasure is taking advantage of the benefits that magic, sorcery, and incantation can grant a tarnished, the ability to stay at distance, to deal grievous damage relatively comfortably. That also ties into the fantasy of being a mage. If warriors earn their strength in the agony of combat, then mages earn theirs by prioritizing their mind, fighting smarter, not harder. Instead of roaring and charging at an enemy, you stay back, using the magic you've studied over years to wield. You enjoy the rewards your long study has brought. You enjoy the role-playing of being a mage. This kind of player isn't wrong. And for players who fancy themselves rogues, some of the joy is in between. The world is harsh to you. As a bandit, your starting weapons don't have the hitstun of melee characters' armaments, so you can't pressure enemies easily. You don't have the comfort of a regenerating mana pool every time you rest or respawn, but what you do have is distance, attack range, and the ability to, through exploration, learn to craft many different ammo types, the right tool for the right situation. Confessors, meanwhile, are holy assassins who silence their footsteps and heal, making small mistakes less impactful on their progression as they move forth to eliminate their enemies from the shadows. This kind of player isn't wrong. Critically, all of these archetypes have unique challenges to overcome. Neither one is going to be easier than the others in every situation, and the game will eventually put something in front of you that will challenge the exact kind of character you decided to become. This is normal, and you should expect this, and you should expect to overcome that too. Respecting the world is a key part of every one of From Software's games. At first, it may seem like a poorly designed element of the game that Elden Ring's world doesn't coddle a player the way many other games do, but there's a reason for that, and that reason is that the world is simply the world, and you are simply another tarnished of no renown. There's nothing special about you, reality will not bend to your whims, you don't deserve unique treatment. There is something deeply immersive about this, and thinking back to that thought is what will enhance the moments of beauty you stumble onto as you explore the lands between. The world exists the way it does because it has respect for the player. You could even say it believes in them. It believes that you will find the tools, weapons, spells, items, and options you need in order to overcome its various challenges. But the most important part is here. The world doesn't care how you overcome them, only that you do. And in my experience playing these games, I've found that since the world respects me so much, the best method I have in order to respect the world right back is to be just as brutal and cruel to it as it is to me. This is just one example. This is a great clip from Twitter user Young Gaki fighting Tree Sentinel, a very difficult boss that From Software placed in the early game to teach a player one of two lessons: either explore elsewhere or find a way to overcome it in the here and now. For more details on this concept, check out Ratatoskr's video in the description. In Young Gaki's clip, they're abusing the level geometry to get damage on Tree Sentinel without it being able to easily damage them back. Most players will be conditioned from other games to think of this as dishonorable or unfair, but the secret you must learn is that From Software don't particularly care what you think. In fact, it's highly likely that at least a few testers discovered this trick during development, and it was left in as a useful approach. Crucially, the game doesn't tell you that you can do this. Elden Ring will very rarely tell you that you can do anything, and that's exactly why it's fair to use whatever knowledge you discover when you figure out that you can do something. Features exist for a reason. Everything that's in this game has been looked over and approved, one way or another. Spirit summons are in the game, cooperative multiplayer is in the game, magic and archery is in the game, stealth is in the game. All of these things are present in Elden Ring in the exact same way that swords and shields are present, that the lock-on feature is present, that having to retrieve your runes when you die is present. If From Software didn't want you using these features, if they considered it unfair, then they wouldn't exist. They didn't have to put them in, but they decided to do so. How do I know this? Because they've released other games in which some of these features don't exist, and in those games, that's also a deliberate choice. If we take Sekiro Shadows Die Twice as a contrast, you can't even level up in that game, other than purchasing new moves. You can't increase your stats by grinding enemies. You can't summon other players to help you with difficult fights. Magic and ranged combat don't exist in any meaningful way. And all of these are also deliberate choices. They're there to reinforce the experience that game seeks to provide, in the same way that bringing your friends or summoning spirits or staying safe and backing up to repel foes with magic all exist to reinforce Elden Ring's experience. But let's say even this argument isn't enough for you. Let's say you don't like the idea of using certain tools because they make things too easy. What I would say is that if you're able to be successful in this game and enjoy playing it without those options, then this video was never really targeted at you, but I'm happy you stuck around to listen to me anyway. But that still doesn't address why it's fair to use all these options the game gives you, even the ones that seem overpowered or broken or mindless. The reason it's fair is that different tools will not always work on everything. I know it seems tempting to believe that you can just summon Lone Wolf Ashes and they'll be strong against every boss in the game, but they won't be. Some bosses completely counter them. You might imagine that magic will be universally comfortable to use no matter the situation, but Tree Sentinel disproves that immediately because his shield specifically reflects magic back at casters, a harsh lesson learned right at the beginning of your playthrough. You might imagine that summoning friends to fight a boss will always be the best option, but sometimes it might not be. Some overworld bosses are best fought on torrent, and if you have co-op summons in your world, none of you can mount up. These are all deliberate balance choices, and what they mean for you as a player is that you will have to constantly discover new and interesting methods to bypass, overcome, or crush difficult challenges. And to me, that's the joy of From Software games. To me, that's what Elden Ring is about. Constantly learning new things, discovering new things, figuring out ways to make difficult things easier, and understanding why they work the way they work, understanding why they fail whenever they do. If any of that sounds appealing to you, and you have a patient and open mind, I think there's a good chance you may enjoy Elden Ring as much as I do, and if all else fails, well, you could always try just being a combat god. I've heard that's a lot of fun. Thank you for watching my video, and may the night keep you safe.